Number 6. The Brothers Ark.
Guess who's back again. Darth Maul's back. We're all gonna die!
In this two-parter, coming off another story where the Separatists went to Dathomir and massacred the Night Sisters, leaving Ventress to become a bounty hunter, Savage Opress searches for his long-lost brother, finding Darth Maul, now decrepit and completely insane.
In victory, my trains have broken the chains. The chains are the easy part. It's what goes on in here that's hard.
Jeez, and I thought Charlie Sheen was nuts.
Also, screw you Mars Needs Mums, the Clone Wars actually had a world of trash, and that was awesome, with giant fire-breathing robot dogs, murderous hobos, and underused characters. Unluckily, with some voodoo magic, Maul comes back to his senses.
Bread and butter, chit and butter, marination, incantation, chocolate mixing, timeless slicing, yeast is rising, rectifying.
It's excellent to see this character who in the prequels was basically just a glorified thug, suddenly become a very cunning, ruthless mastermind. Without Sidious there to boss him about and his brother as the muscle, he comes up with a simple yet horrifyingly effective plan to lure Kenobi to fight him and Savage.
The Jedi won't be out this far in the galaxy.
In a galaxy at war, Savage, there's only one way to get the attention of the Jedi. Slaughter of the innocent, mercilessly and without compromise. Boy, that escalated quickly.
And part of his newfound brain cells is due to his voice actor, with Sam Witwer, who you may also know as Starkiller, lending Maul a voice that sounds intelligent and sinister, but with a primal anger barely concealed below his righteous demeanor.
My hatred kept my spirit intact even though my body was not. Yet I was lost and became a rabid animal. And such is how you found me, brother discarded, forgotten.
Well, you got off better than Boba Fett. His resurrection isn't canon anymore.
And when Obi-Wan finally finds him, one little touch I like is that he's initially hesitant to accept that Maul's back.
I have been waiting for you.
I'm not sure I've made your acquaintance.
I have heard some call him a moron for that, but I see it more as Kenobi questioning, are you really him? I mean, I cut you in half. Though, even when he accepts it and gets beaten, his Obi-Wan liners remain.
Anything more to say?
I like your new legs. They make you look taller.
For someone who's supposed to hate violence, that was a pretty harsh burn. Luckily, he finds help against his unlikely foe from an equally unlikely savior, Ventress.
When did you become the good guy?
Don't insult me.
Ah, what a lovely sight to wake up to.
Don't flatter yourself, Kenobi. You've never been much to look at.
Aww, I wanted to ship it.
While brief, their team up against the brothers is really awesome. Sworn enemies teaming up is a favourite story of mine, but it's also effective how Ventress is trying to destroy her own twisted creation, while Kenobi fights one of his old demons, both trying to destroy their past mistakes. Even though they survive, they weren't powerful enough to defeat the two, who would only become a greater threat to the galaxy later. This was a chilling way to end the 4th season, providing a major shake-up to the Star Wars mythos and letting us know that the Separatists may have been the least of the Jedi's worries. Number 5. The Hidden Enemy. My favourite episode of Season 1 actually turned out to be a precursor to one of its greatest blunders.
So basically this episode is a prequel to a prequel to a prequel. Prequelception!
While fighting the Separatists on Christophsis, Anakin and Obi-Wan are attacked by an unusually coordinated group of droids. As the generals secretly go to Separatist territory to confront Asajj Ventress, Rex and Cody check internally, finding that one of their troopers may be a spy. While not the best mystery story, the tension of the episode is excellent, given all the suspects have the same face and are supposed to be loyal to the Republic. Rex and Cody have to try and smoke out someone with their own face, who they've been programmed to trust their whole life. There is a pretty good red herring as well.
So, Chopper old boy.
I mean, I'd be suspicious of someone named after a crazy astromech. And the battle droid fingers don't help either.
However, through a very clever slip-up, well, clever for the writers, it's revealed to be their sergeant, Slick.
Slick's the traitor?
And next time.
As I said, the generals told no one they were going into Sept territory, but someone listened in with a comlink.
You don't have to say anything till the Jedi come back and talk to you. What did you mean till the Jedi come back? How did you know the Jedi were gone?
Suspicious!
Even though the concept of a clone going rogue could have felt forced, Slick's motivation feels very understandable, feeling the Jedi keep the troopers enslaved and despising them for ordering his brothers to their deaths.
At least I got something out of all this suffering. She offered me money, but she offered me something more important, something you wouldn't understand. Freedom!
However, it takes Rex to point out his hypocrisy of wanting to free his brothers while destroying their facility and selling them out to the Seps, putting them at risk. Slick's aims may have been kind of noble, but his methods were far from heroic. It also feels like a crime that I haven't mentioned Kevin Kiner's score yet. His work sounds grand enough to be similar to Williams and fit in the Star Wars universe, but has a high emphasis on brass and both more epic and tense tracks to amp up the battles of the show, especially here. Plus the fight between Anakin, Obi-Wan and Ventress, while not as tense as Slick's betrayal, is excellent. Generally, the duels in Clone Wars give a good mix of the acrobatics and choreography of the prequels, while feeling as visceral as the originals or the sequel trilogy. More like battles rather than dance numbers. It also clears up a minor quibble I had with the film. Why didn't the clones have any ATTs during the Battle of Christophsis?
Took out our weapons depot.
The way in which Rex and Cody outsmart Slick is also great, making themselves seem like they're thinking like typical clones with Scooby-Doo tactics to find him, but their Ark training gives them the edge. Also...
Hey there, Slick. Guns empty.
That is so badass.
Even by the high standards of the show, this episode is amazing, with tense action, a great mystery, and possibly sowing the seeds for Rex's development later down the line. It's without a doubt my favourite single episode of the whole series.
Because there are about 1,000 battle droids on their way here.
The fight goes on, gentlemen.
Gentlemen?
Number 4. The Lawless Ark.
And you thought Darth Maul's comeback was terrifying? Oh, bug.
After the brothers' plans to build a pirate army fail, due to a fight with Kenobi and Hondo being Hondo,
You will pay for your insolence.
Insolence! We are pirates! We don't even know what that means!
Never change, old boy.
Maul and Savage team up with Death Watch to take over Mandalore from Satine, using an army of crime syndicates, attracting the attention from figures from Maul's past he may not have wanted. The overarching theme I've talked about with the criminal underworld growing beneath the Jedi's noses reaches its zenith here, as Maul and Pre Vizsla amass an army of scumbags large enough to take Mandalore. Admittedly, Satine's forces put up a pitiful display, but it's still a clever plan using her pacifism against her, so when Death Watch seemingly defeat the gangsters, they become heroes in the eyes of the people. The ways in which Maul and Vizsla manipulate those below them, and even each other, is just delicious to watch. They know one of them has to backstab the other at some point, and manipulate in their own ways. Maul taking the Sith way of mind games and temptation, while Vizsla puts up an affable exterior. Pretty fitting for a political player, and it serves him well when he finally takes control.
Join me, and let us defend Mandalore against the criminals. We need action, not pacifism.
And together, we can make Mandalore great again.
Of course, their inevitable, freaking awesome battle ensues, and while the fans lose their heads, so does good old Pre. Maul even manages to turn Vizsla's second-in-command betraying him into possibly the series' best line.
You're all traitors!
Unfortunately for you, history will not see it that way.
But Maul's not done yet, as once Obi-Wan inevitably shows up on Mandalore, he takes the opportunity to kill Satine as revenge for all Obi-Wan's done to him.
Got to go on, Christian.
Can't go on without you.
Even though I have mixed feelings on Satine's character, this was still a potent scene, driving in Maul's lust for vengeance further, and giving Obi-Wan a very tragic scene I don't think we've seen the likes of since Revenge of the Sith. Unfortunately, Maul's manipulations come back to bite him, as Bo-Katan starts a Death Watch civil war, as well as freeing Kenobi. While it's sad that we never saw the end of the war due to the show's cancellation, just the sight of the galaxy's greatest warriors going up against each other was awesome, and it got some good follow-up in the latest season of Rebels. Though surprisingly, having a badass warrior girl out for his blood was the least of Maul's worries, as his empire catches the notice of Darth Sidious, finally revealing himself from behind the curtain to give a lightsaber fight that even gives the final dueling Jedi a run for its money.
You have become a rival!
Two lightsabers at the same time?
While Maul and Savage may be intimidating fighters, Sidious shows why he's the Dark Lord, being probably the most powerful duelist seen in the series, almost untouchable, and managing to somehow turn the few hits the brothers land on him against them. Just to top off how weirdly sympathetic Savage was, he gets a pretty tragic death. His last words bemoaning how unworthy an apprentice he was to his brother, before Maul gets the snot forced out of him, to the point of begging for his life.
Have mercy. Please, please.
Despite him killing Satine earlier, I actually felt a slither of sympathy for him. Just a slither though.
Do not worry. I'm not going to kill you. I have other uses for you. That's what she said!
This story had probably the highest holy quotient of the whole show, delivering shock after shock and never letting up right till the end.
And this wasn't even the most shocking or saddest story in Season 5.
Number 3. The Clone Conspiracy Ark. When fighting a pretty standard battle, a clone named Tup shoots one of his Jedi generals, so goes back to Kamino with Fives for study. However, doing some investigating, Fives discovers that all the clones have chips to brainwash them to blindly follow orders, so takes his findings to Chancellor Palpatine.
Oh, pooh.
This story is one of the most depressing I've seen in animation. And I mean that in the best possible way.
As Fives gets closer to unlocking the truth about Order 66, the greater the sinking feeling in my stomach became, as it was pretty obvious this wasn't going to end well. I also loved that there was an explanation for why the clones had to follow Order 66. As a kid, it never sat right with me that the troopers who considered their generals friends would just kill them without a second thought. Cody should have gone, "F*** you, I'm execute your ass." The chips give a way to explain their coldness, as well as giving an even darker element to Palpatine's plan, brainwashing his loyal soldiers to killing some of the only people in the universe who genuinely cared for them and saw them as real people. The clones even have a separate bar for when they're on leave, where it looks like only a few civilians show up, making them look like second-class citizens. Handled better than when the Gungans felt that way. But the real crowning achievement of brilliant cruelty this arc has is what they do with Fives. Originally, he was my least favourite of the Dominoes, having the least character out of them, outside a few wisecracks, which Cut Up did a little better. Over time though, it became clear that he was the clone most loyal to his brothers, prioritising their safety over following orders to the letter, epitomised here, as his every action is either to help Tup, which doesn't go too well, or save all the clones, even if he has to disobey orders from the Kaminoans or the Jedi. When taking his findings to Palpatine, he's drugged by one of the scientists and framed for an assassination attempt, forcing him to go on the run, eventually able to contact Anakin and Rex to go to a warehouse. But due to the drugs, he just sounds like a rambling madman, and neither Skywalker nor the captain believe him. Doesn't help that he trapped them in a ray shield.
How did this happen? We're smarter than this.
This scene is utterly heartbreaking, as you can feel Five's stress building as he's unable to articulate himself. Once again, I can't give enough kudos to D. Bradley Baker, while Anakin remains suspicious of him and Rex is clearly torn.
Well, there's a sinister plot in the works against the Jedi. I have proof of it. I can prove that everything that I know is true beyond a shadow of a doubt.
Let's just get you some help first. Then we can review everything. It'll be okay, Fives. We'll sort this out.
You don't believe me!
This comes to a head when some troopers led by Commander Fox.
Fives is buggered.
They storm the warehouse and shoot Fives dead.
Don't do it, soldier! Get away from me! Fives, no!
plus only increases my burning hatred for Fox.
Taser rank, Wade, why did you kill one of your own brothers rather than setting for stun? I'll kill you! I'm gonna kill you!
This is without a doubt one of the saddest deaths in all animation. The clone trying to save all his brothers is gunned down by one of them, the secret of Order 66 being hidden from everyone as the last domino falls. Even the usually stoic and composed Rex breaks down as Fives dies in his arms. The music and dialogue they share only serves to make this one of the many scenes in the show that always makes me cry without fail.
I never meant to. I only wanted to do my duty. The mission. The nightmares. They're finally over. Come on, Fight. Don't go. Stay with me. Stay with me. Don't go.
Still, it was gratifying to know that Rex took Five's words, and he, along with Wolf, Gregor, and hopefully more clones, managed to remove their chips. This whole story was gripping and emotionally devastating, showing that even the cleverest and most determined troopers and Jedi were powerless in the face of Sidious's master plan.
Will this interfere with Protocol 66?
He said it! He said it!
Number 2. The Wrong Jedi Ark. The Jedi's questionable characterization from the prequels comes back to bite them again, even more than in Last Jedi, as the temple is bombed. Anakin and Ahsoka investigate and find someone working for the culprit, who then frames Ahsoka for her murder. Chased by the Republic and abandoned by the Jedi, Ahsoka must find a way to clear her name and questions her place in the galaxy. From start to finish, this arc is utterly captivating, showing Ahsoka's development as a Jedi by putting her at odds with the Council. Ironically, when she's imprisoned, they're perfectly fine with throwing her onto the tracks, giving her up to the Republic courts where she'd be put to death by expelling her from the Order. On the run, she even finds some unlikely help from Ventress.
While Ashley Eckstein was excellent throughout the show, she's by far at her best here.
You feel her anger over her position, her betrayal by the Jedi, and her willingness to do anything to clear her name.
I'm not going to take the fall for something I didn't do! Anakin, you have to trust me now.
Ahsoka, I do trust you.
I know you do. Wish me luck.
This is also probably Matt Lanter's best showing as Anakin, exhibiting stress and desperation over his Padawan's position, with their interactions showing the helplessness of Ahsoka's situation.
You didn't even try to come and help me.
They wouldn't let me in to talk to you.
You could have if you tried.
How would that look, Ahsoka? Huh? Forcing my way in would have made you look even more guilty.
There are also multiple showings of how Palpatine's starting to subtly sway opinions and even the Republic against the Jedi, with Tarkin openly mocking the Jedi's involvement in the war, there being large showings of military might on Coruscant, and Fox once again being a grade A a-hole, with him not allowing Anakin to see Ahsoka.
I don't care what she's accused of.
Let me in.
Sorry, sir.
Yeah, I know, it was Tarkin's orders. But the troopers activating their shock staffs was unnecessary and him, so he's still a douchebag.
If you see the target, shoot to kill.
Belay that order, Commander Fox.
12 seconds later.
There she is! Quick! Stop her! What the fudge-fickle?
Kinda helps these illusions further, putting little bits of the Imperial March to show how close the Republic is to collapsing from within. Once Ahsoka escapes into the underworld, it seems pretty neglected and seedy, showing more corruption and suffering under the Jedi's noses. I doubt these people would feel any sadness when the Empire rose and the Jedi were executed. Plus, her and Ventress's interactions feel pretty fitting. Both willing to throw each other under the tracks at first, especially Ventress given the bounty on Ahsoka's head, but they gradually bond over their shared feelings of abandonment from their masters.
Could there be space shipping?
No!
Honestly, I wouldn't have minded them having more time together, as their dynamic of hesitant criminal versus hardened mercenary was quite fun.
Listen to me. I don't want to fight.
I do.
Once Ahsoka is recaptured and, as I said before, the Council expel her, Anakin interrogates Ventress.
Where were the other drugs going?
And after a more civil conversation, finds the true murderer, Ahsoka's friend, Barriss Offee.
Ahsoka trusted you and you betrayed her.
I've learned that trust is overrated. The only thing the Jedi Council believes in is violence.
While some thought this twist came out of nowhere, I thought it was effective. While Banoffee always seemed by the book, that may have been why she feels they've gone bad. She fought in many battles with her master, so would have seen the hypocrisy and elitism of the Jedi in war firsthand, ironically leading her down an even darker path than them. Also, she was the only person other than Ventress Ahsoka had any contact with. Obvious in hindsight, but subtle enough to miss on a first watch, and when revealed make you go,
clever girl.
So Barriss is captured, Ahsoka is found innocent and taken back to the Council, who only proved Barriss's suspicions correct.
This was actually your great trial. Now we see that. We understand that the Force works in mysterious ways, and because of this trial, you have become a greater Jedi than you would have otherwise.
Yeah, it was the will of the Force is why we acted so irresponsibly. That was really dickish, Mace.
Thrown out of a window you deserve to be.
And so, however hard the decision was, Ahsoka leaves the Jedi Order.
I'm sorry, Master, but I'm not coming back.
However painful this was to watch, it is beautiful in its sadness. Given Ahsoka didn't appear in the films, it was doubtless something bad would happen to her, but it didn't make this moment any less potent. While it's clear this would save her life in Order 66, in hindsight, it makes Anakin's fall even more tragic. Throughout the series, he took actions that were reckless or downright frightening, but Ahsoka acted as a voice of reason to bring him back to the light. Now, there was no proverbial angel on Anakin's shoulder, and mixed with the blame he likely put on himself and the Jedi Council, probably made the pull to the dark side that much stronger, especially as throughout the arc, he never gave up on trying to get Ahsoka back. But as sad as they both were, they knew it was for the best.
More than you realize, I understand wanting to walk away from the Order.
I know.
These episodes were so good that I may have to give them full reviews. There's so much brilliance I missed out, cause if I hadn't, we'd be here all day. Same goes for the Conspiracy Ark. It was a tragic end to Ahsoka's story in the show, and a powerful way to end the show's time on television. Even though I still feel sad that the Clone Wars was cancelled, I'm happy how Rebels continued many of the characters' stories, and having the show's run on TV chronicle Ahsoka's growth as a Jedi, and eventually her choosing her own path, was perfect. It was a conclusion that could do no wrong, other than leaving me and a bunch of other fans in floods of tears. And my number one favourite Star Wars The Clone Wars episode is... the Umbara Arc.
Every single part of this arc is flawless.
The animation is cinematic in scope, the characterization brilliant, and storytelling both internally and in context of the whole show makes it the peak of Clone Wars' already high quality, as well as something most other shows can't compare to.
This arc is so amazing that I have to give it its own review. I know that's a bit of a cop-out, but I had a hard enough time summarizing the last two bits. Not pointing out every single good bit of this arc would feel criminal. So join me next time as me and a familiar face review the Umbara Arc. I am Parax11. Thank you for watching.